Ladies and gentlemen, dreamers and doers, thinkers and drinkers of too much coffee, those who talk to themselves in the mirror, and those who practice TED Talks in the shower, welcome. Today, I want to share a truth that may sound a little strange at first, maybe even foolish. But that's exactly why it's so important. You see, the world we live in today was built by people who didn't always make sense when they started. People whose ideas sounded ridiculous, whose visions were mocked, and whose dreams were laughed at until they weren't. Let me say it loudly, clearly, and with great joy in my foolish heart. Every giant was once a fool with a dream. Yes, every billionaire you admire today, every visionary who changed the course of human history, every so-called genius who built something that now seems inevitable, they all started in exactly the same way, as fools. Not fools because they were unintelligent, but because they dared to believe in something others couldn't see. They dared to imagine a different world, a better world, a world that didn't exist yet, but could if only they kept going. Think about it. When Thomas Edison was trying to create the light bulb, people thought he'd lost his mind. When Elon Musk said he wanted to colonize Mars, the internet turned it into a meme. When Oprah was fired from her first TV job, they said she didn't have the it factor. And when I started Alibaba in my apartment, people said, "Jack, you must be joking." So if the world is laughing at your dream right now, good. That's your sign. Because the very thing people call foolish today might just be the thing that makes you a giant tomorrow. Let me show you why. People always ask me, "Jack, how did you build Alibaba?" They look at the success, the numbers, the growth, and think there must have been some kind of master plan, like I had a crystal ball in one hand and a Silicon Valley blueprint in the other. But let me tell you the truth, I failed. A lot. In fact, before I became a professional success, I was what you might call a world-class failure. I applied for 30 different jobs after college. I was rejected by every single one, not some, every single one. I remember thinking, maybe I'm not meant to work for someone else, but even KFC didn't want me. When they came to China, 24 people applied for the job. They hired 23 of them. Guess who they didn't hire? That's right, me. Even the fried chicken had more qualifications. I still think about that chicken sometimes. And don't get me started on school. I failed my college entrance exam, not once, but twice. On the third try, I think the university just gave up and said, "Fine, let him in before he applies again." My math score was so bad, I think it actually made the average score go down. So how did Alibaba begin? In a small apartment with 17 friends who were just as clueless as I was. None of us knew how the internet worked. I didn't even know what a server was. I thought it was someone who worked in a restaurant. When people said, "Jack, you're just an English teacher, not a tech guy," I smiled and said, "That's true. But I know one thing better than technology. I know how to dream." And that's where everything began. If your dream doesn't make people laugh, it's not big enough. When I told people I wanted to build a Chinese e-commerce company to rival Amazon and eBay, they laughed so hard one guy fell off his chair. I helped him up and said, "Get used to it, I'll give you more reasons to fall." Think of all the giants we admire. Einstein was called mentally slow by his teachers. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Steve Jobs was fired from the company he started. Elon Musk wanted to build rockets, and people said, "Haha, go back to your PayPal." Now people are trying to build rockets just to catch up with the guy they laughed at. Do not be afraid to look foolish. In fact, I'll go further. If you don't look foolish right now, you're probably playing 2SC. So you're a fool with a dream? Good. Let me give you the starter pack. A, rejection cream. You will get rejected. People will laugh at you, ignore you, ghost you, block you. Even your own dog might walk away when you speak. That's normal. You need a thick skin. Rejection is not the opposite of success. It is part of success. I always say rejection is redirection. In fact, if people are not saying no to you at least once a day, you are not dreaming big enough. You're not selling, you're not showing up. Be embarrassment insurance. At some point, you will embarrass yourself. You will speak at an event and forget your own name. You will pitch your idea and say something ridiculous. You might wear mismatched socks to a meeting with investors like I did once. But the embarrassment fades. Regret does not see dream glasses. See what others don't. Where they see problems, you see possibilities. Where they say no one has done this, you say great. That means I'll be the first. Your dream glasses will make people think you're blind, but actually you're the only one who can see the future. People often believe success is reserved for the most talented, the most brilliant, or those with the most connections. That's partly true, but only partly. I've met incredibly talented people who are still waiting for the perfect timing, waiting for the perfect plan, waiting until they have all the answers, all the money, all the resources. They're waiting while time quietly passes them by. Let me tell you something from experience. There is no perfect. There is only progress. When we started Alibaba, we didn't have money. We didn't have a tech background. We didn't even have a business model that made sense. Honestly, if we had written it down and shown it to an investor in Silicon Valley, they would have thrown us out with the recycling. But what we did have was a little website, a big dream, and a crazy amount of belief in the impossible. We didn't wait. We worked. While others hesitated, analyzed, and debated, we got our hands dirty and made mistakes, so many of them. But each mistake became a stepping stone. Each failure gave us a new lesson. Want to hear something funny? In the beginning, we didn't even have an online payment system. People would place orders through our website, and then get this, they would send us actual cash through the mail. One guy sent us $80 stuffed inside a pair of old socks. Socks! My co-founder held them up like a sacred relic and said, "Jack, I think it's time we build a bank." That, my friends, was how Alipay was born. Not from some brilliant fintech strategy, not from a Harvard MBA case study, but from desperation and a smelly pair of socks. And that's the power of foolish action. Let me ask you a serious question, and don't just nod because I'm Jack Ma. Really think about it. Are you willing to be laughed at today so you can be admired tomorrow? Are you willing to look stupid, sound inexperienced, and feel like a complete outsider while everyone else seems like they have it all figured out? Everybody wants to be the giant, standing on the big stage with lights flashing and people applauding. Everybody wants the success story, the Forbes cover, the interviews, the private jets. But here's what most people don't want. They don't want to be the fool working in a cramped garage that smells like coffee and desperation. They don't want to wear the same shoes for 3 years. They don't want to eat instant noodles every night while pretending it's gourmet. They don't want to fail in public and still show up the next day, but that's what it takes. Behind every giant, there's a version of them who stumbled, looked ridiculous, and got called crazy. I remember giving speeches in the early days, and people would literally get up and leave halfway. Not because they were busy, because they thought I was wasting their time. Some told me, "Hey, Jack, go back to teaching. You're embarrassing yours." And yes, it was embarrassing, but I kept going. Because if you wait until you feel ready, you'll never move. If you wait until your plan is perfect, you'll never begin. And if you're not willing to look like a fool first, you'll never become the giant later. So laugh at yourself, fall down, get up, repeat. That's how legends are made. Giants still make mistakes. They still fall down. They still feel insecure. The difference is they kept going long enough to be taken seriously. You know, people now introduce me like this. Here's Jack Ma, one of the richest men in China. But they forget I was once Jack Ma, the guy who failed his math exam. Jack Ma, the guy whose teaching salary was $12 a month. Jack Ma, the man who couldn't even code. So if you're sitting there thinking, "But I don't have the skills," or "I don't have the money," let me tell you something. You have the most important thing, your foolish dream. The dream that wakes you up at night. The dream that makes you excited and scared at the same time. The dream you're almost too shy to tell your friends because they might laugh at you. Tell them. Chase it. Get laughed at. That's your sign you're on the right path. Now you might be asking, "Jack, how does a fool actually become a giant?" Let me share the secret. It's not in some fancy MBA textbook or a TED Talk algorithm. It's not reserved for the rich, the gifted, or the lucky. No, it's a simple formula. But you must apply it with your whole heart and a thick skin. Here's what worked for me. Step 1, dream like a child. Children have no limits in their minds. Ask a child what they want to be and they'll say, astronaut, superhero, president, all in 1 week. They dream big because they haven't learned fear yet. Adults, we dream based on our bank accounts. But to build something great, you need childlike belief. So close your eyes, forget what's realistic, and ask, what do I truly want? Step 2, work like a donkey. Donkeys are not elegant. They don't go fast, but they carry the load. They endure. That's what business, dreams, and life demand, endurance. Smart people often paralyze themselves with too much thinking. Donkeys just show up and move forward. Be the donkey. Keep walking, even with blisters. Step 3, learn like a sponge. In the beginning, I copied Yahoo. I studied them like a student studies a crush. Eventually, I found my own style. Absorb books, watch failures, ask questions. Never think you know enough. The sponge grows by soaking, not boasting. Step 4, laugh like an idiot. Take your dreams seriously, but not yourself. I laughed through rejections, bad decisions, even bankruptcy rumors. Laughing is how fools survive storms. Step 5, survive. Stay in the game. That's it. Just don't quit. Giants are just fools who refuse to disappear. You don't need a genius IQ. You don't need $1 million idea. You don't need to be born into wealth. You need 2 things. A dream that excites you and the foolishness to chase it, no matter what people say. People who play it safe will always criticize those who take risks. But the world was not changed by the safe ones. The world was changed by the foolish ones who believed they could build something better and did. Let me leave you with a few quick reminders from one fool to another. If people don't laugh at your dream, you might be dreaming too small. If you're the smartest in the room, you're in the wrong room, or you're in the bathroom alone. If you fail, fail loudly, fail proudly, fail forward. If you make it, be kind to other fools. I now mentor many young entrepreneurs, and I always ask them the same question. What's your crazy idea, the one that makes people roll their eyes? That's the one I want to hear. That's the one with power. So let me turn it over to you. What's your foolish dream? What is that thing you want to do, but are scared to admit because it sounds crazy? Start it, write it, build it, speak it, pitch it. Whatever it is, begin. Because every giant, every leader, every world changer was once sitting in a tiny room with no clue what they were doing. Just a foolish dream in their heart and the courage to say, I'll try anyway. And now people call them genius. Ladies and gentlemen, dreamers, doers, future giants, be the fool. The world needs more of them. Because fools don't follow the path, they make one. And in doing so, they build the road that others will someday walk on. So laugh if they laugh, work while they watch. And remember, every giant was once a fool with a dream. And maybe, just maybe, you are next. Thank you.